The next couple of bills we will hear will be from Representative Quattrocchi. That's Bill 5244 and Bill 5372. So if you would do both those in succession, it would be helpful, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And fellow committee members. Although I've been practicing to actually speak off the cuff, and I really admire the people that can, I have to admit I have a tough time with it, so if you don't mind, I would actually like to read to get my point across, and these are my words.
Okay.
I don't have a speechwriter.
Please proceed. It's okay.
Thank you. Bill 5244 seeks to prohibit the use of moral obligation bonds. In 1843, Rhode Island was actually the first in the nation to place restrictions in the Constitution requiring that voters approve the incurring of state debt. Rhode Island actually did this to protect its taxpayers from costly economic development ventures that had bankrupted other states way back in the 1840s. So now we have Article 6, Section 16 of our state constitution, which states that the General Assembly shall have no powers without the express consent of the people to incur state debts to an amount exceeding $50,000. And it goes on to say, nor shall it, in any case, without such consent, pledge the faith of the state for the payment of the obligation of others. Moral obligation bonds were created in 1960 in New York by John Mitchell, a prominent municipal bond lawyer who was later convicted and sentenced to prison for his crimes associated with Watergate. The creation of this new scheme was to assist then-Governor Nelson Rockefeller in avoiding voter approval to continue his ambitious government expansion projects, which the electorate had no appetite for and resisted. In the early 1970s, moral obligation bonds were introduced to Rhode Island by the late James Skeffington. After 3 voter rejections of economic development bonds in referenda between 1969 and 72, a total disregard for the will of the electorate. Although moral obligation bonds became highly publicized as the vehicle that brought us the failed 38 Studios debacle, we have forgotten that the state's very first moral obligation bonds to promote economic development were issued in 1974 for Fairmount Foundry to purchase Grinnell Foundry. In 1976, 2 years later, the foundry failed and closed, leaving Rhode Island taxpayers with over a $4 million tab that they never approved. In 1993, a moral obligation bond was issued for a biotech company called Alpha Beta Technology. 6 years later, they closed, leaving Rhode Island taxpayers another $30 million tab, which was never approved. Fittingly, the state of New York, where moral obligation bonds were created, outlawed them in 1976 after a commission found that the debt that they created contributed to the state's fiscal crisis and concluded that the sale of such bonds created a dangerous and misleading illusion. Many times we as legislators are not looked upon favorably. It is precisely because of unconstitutional schemes like this that skirt their way around the will of the people. This unconstitutional practice should be an easy one to fix, colleagues. We all did stand and hold up our right hand to uphold our constitutions. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You can go right into your next bill if you wish, please.
Bill 5372 seeks to end legislative grants. Last year, the Rhode Island General Assembly did a great thing by ending the community grant program after highly publicized misconduct related to recipients was revealed. Legislative grants are different in that the grant amounts are smaller and their underlying purpose is to gain public favor. Essentially, we take huge amounts of tax dollars from Rhode Islanders only to give them back a few crumbs in the form of a legislative grant. So that basically they can say, hey, what a great guy or gal you are. You have my vote. So it's basically buying their votes with their money. It's bad, lopsided government. More politically powerful districts get more money. A much more ethical system would be to let people keep more of their own money to begin with. So thank you very much.